Welcome back to What Would It Cost? Today we're talking all things real estate and comparing the Toronto and Montreal real estate market with Maria Ben. How's it going?
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be in Toronto. I'm a realtor in Montreal. I specialize in residential, and that's why I'm meeting you guys. Some of my clients, move to Toronto sometimes. They need their financing, and I just like how much you guys are a one-stop shop doing insurances, home insurance, car insurance, mortgages. Like, I feel like for a realtor in Montreal or anywhere else in Canada, if someone is moving to Toronto, you guys are like the people to talk to, one call away. It's like I have a meeting and it's just super quick and efficient, and I really like that.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know what? That thank you for all the compliments, and we really appreciate that. But I want to tip my hat and say good on you for thinking about your clients, and if they do want to do some buying in the Toronto market, you going and doing the extensive research as to, okay, who is it that I want to forward my clients over to and refer, because referring is a transfer of trust. And when you're doing that, it means that the people that you're putting them in front of, you really want to make sure that your clients are being taken care of properly. And you did the deep dive, and you found us on the social platforms and YouTube, and you did your research, and you reached out, you made your way all the way down here, not only to do this podcast, but to also shoot some videos. And that's you coming to get to know us so that you can get comfortable with how we're rocking and rolling here, so that when you go back and one of your clients wants to make a move into the Toronto market, you're very well versed in what our headquarters looks like, what our ecosystem looks like, who we are personally. And I think that's brilliant on you, and good on you to build the bridge. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, by being in Toronto is just perfect, because let's say if I have my clients moving here, I get to be here also. I get to visit, these different neighborhoods, and I know exactly where they're going. So I get to have the feel of it, and I feel like there is some differences, like Montreal, Toronto, it's so different, even though we're so close. Like, home prices are different. Everything else is, I do need to like adapt myself to like, wow, like the average home price here is like 1,080,000, and like in Montreal it's like 560,000. Like there is a huge gap. So I can definitely see those differences by like being here.
Even the language barrier too.
Yeah, you can hear my accent, my little French oui.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you learn any French words since I got here?
We haven't gone over that yet. No? I think that's what we're going to do now.
Michael got some words.
Je ne pas parler français. That's
Tu
about
vois?
it. Yeah,
Exactement. J'adore.
We are not French.
J'adore. But yeah, since the interest rates went up, like, people like are really changing their lives. Some people are moving out of town. Some people are, selling their homes, interest rates. Like there's so many changes now. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of changes going across the country. So for example, like this year, more than ever, from 25 to 30 years old has been the biggest shift of Canadians or Torontonians moving to Alberta, because they're paying more wages and the cost of living is lower. And like you're saying, you have clients moving out of Montreal because they feel maybe there's no growth. The cost of living is a lot less, but so is their wages there. And they don't have that growth to really grow in their career or as a business owner.
Since March, like 400 basis points increase. It's like a huge shock for people. They're like, what is going on? And their wages are not going any higher. So that's why some people will go to Toronto, because maybe their job, they're getting paid more.
Right.
Or that's why there's so many like change. And I feel like people need to educate themselves about like other cities, and maybe it will be better to like move in, move out,
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, to go back what we started with, it's good on you for taking that leap for them and coming to check out another market and what that looks like as an investor. We're doing the same thing with our expansion into Florida, right? Is we're looking out for our investors. We're looking out for our clients here that seem to be moving out, and the Torontonians are known to be snowbirds and entering into the Florida market, wanting to become Floridians. So you being in Montreal and seeing who and how the outbound movement starts to look like, and then you getting on the offense for providing them an ecosystem to plug into, right? But it was interesting talking to you over the time that you've been staying here in regards to how similar the market actually is in Toronto and Montreal, right? In regards to, you know, the cost of living and the price fluctuation and the rate hikes and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. No, congrats for you guys. Like, you know, you guys are doing so much, like since you guys started, like not long ago, but already moving to Florida. It's such a big move.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is the place to be because we do have a lot of Montreal people like that have their second home in Florida. All of their winter time, they spend their 6 months there.
Yeah.
And having, you know, the ability to have financing even taken care of for them in Florida. Like, I'm so happy now because I got you guys in Toronto. I got you guys in Florida. It's like, it's
tell us where to go
perfect
next.
for me because it's perfect for me. And like, I can't wait to share you guys to all my connection and everyone that I know.
Yeah.
Because we see that all of those snowbirds going to Florida, like our winter time, everybody's freezing. They can't wait to leave, you know?
Yeah. And we me and Mikey, we love Montreal. When we go to the mortgage convention there out in Ottawa, we always leap out into Montreal because you guys got awesome restaurants and just really cool architecture and it's just a cool,
Montreal is
vibrant
cozy.
city. Yeah,
It's a European
it's a
vibe,
yeah.
that we're missing here.
We have
It's
that
very, like, black
culture.
and white. Yeah.
It's cozy, the restaurants, even the people are really friendly.
Yeah.
The French, it's a bit fun.
No, it's definitely something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, going based on what Nick was saying, where yes, we're different, like you were saying, purchase price, but he was saying there's a comparison and shift given, you know, interest rates on the rise. Like what was the effect you've seen over there?
So the effect obviously is the purchasing power diminishes, right?
Right.
So the interest rate is going much higher and much faster than the home prices are going down. So purchasing power now is more difficult to borrow money because, you know, their income is not going higher. And now the mortgage represents like 60% of people's income.
Right.
So it's huge. You know, how are you able to save that much amount of money for a down payment? And even for the next generations, they're the one that are going to suffer the most.
Right.
So that's why you see a lot of parents now in Montreal giving money to their kids to be able to purchase a home in Montreal.
Yeah.
So even though because of like the impact of COVID and all the inflation, the home prices still remains high right now in Montreal.
Right.
So it didn't decrease that much, but we're expecting maybe about 30% of drop in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too, the point you make about, you know, the rates are going up, the prices are not falling, but it's 60% of people's income. And that's what I'm looking forward to hopefully see some change in next year is that, you know, the stress test hasn't changed. It's still 5.25% or 2% of the current rate, the greater of the two. So, you know, rates that are at 6%, you're looking at 8%. Which again, too, the stress test was only introduced, you know, 5-7 years ago. Whereas before, so yeah, we had higher rates. We hit 7%, you know, years ago. We hit 10% years ago, 12%. But it was all relevant to the rate and the cost. So that's why it's like it's an interesting time right now. It's like you don't know where the market's going to be going because they haven't addressed amortization, they haven't addressed the stress test, but the rates keep skyrocketing.
Yeah, it's really like a correction period, and it's really the time where, you know, buyers are observing the market, they're holding back. Sellers are starting to be a little bit more realistic. You know, before they used to think that, you know, they would be able to get 100,000 over asking.
Right.
They, you know, and I would meet them, and now I have a reality check with them. It's like, hey, like even the comparables that we're talking about, that was in March. That was a long time ago.
Right.
Like what happened, it's not gonna happen again anytime soon. So everything that happened, it was like historical. Like we've never seen that, and that was going to happen. You know, I see it coming before it even happened. There was no way that this was going to last.
Right.
You know, the bubble had to pop, you know, and now we are feeling the effect of it and all these interest hikes that are just so impactful, you know, and for people to adapt to it so quickly, it's very hard, especially with all the inflation. People are really having a hard time now, you know, paying their mortgage, paying their groceries. Inflation is about 7%. It's huge. So we haven't seen that since like the 80s, you know.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Exactly.
It's really
The
big.
great thing, though, to put a bit of a positive spin on it, is that I'm happy to see, especially on the mortgage side, there's no more firm offers. It's condition to finance. Give that 3-day, 5-day. You were saying in Montreal, it's 14 days.
Yeah.
Having that breather, because I think that was really important. Like, it made us nervous on our end. It's like, hey,
us it's 14 days.
can I buy this because I have to go firm? I'm going to be beaten out by somebody else's bid. Whereas now it's like, okay, take the breathing room, really make sure the house is proper, really make sure you can get the financing and make sure you can afford this.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the positive, the silver lining.
That's
out
the
of all
positive
this.
is like the high, now we have like higher inventory. So that's good because now finally buyers take their time to visit multiple homes.
Yeah.
They don't have like 15 minutes to do a quick visit and like right away, okay, do you like it? Let's make an offer within 24 hours. Like in Montreal, like real estate brokers would put 24 hours to 48 hours to put in an offer.
Right.
We're buying a home at $1 million, putting 20% down payment. And how many times did you visit that home? One time in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, these are big life decisions, and buyers didn't have the time to be comparing homes, to be really feeling if they like the home or not. So everything was made in a rush. And now the positive is, of course, they have the time to compare homes. They have the opportunity to now negotiate,
Exactly.
lower than the asking price. And that we didn't see that during the past year. Everything was over asking.
35
And
offers.
I had to tell my buyers, listen, the price you see is not the price it's selling at, So even like if they were pre-approved for like, let's say like 800,000, I had to tell them, well, let's look at $700,000 home, just
Right.
to make sure that we're able to, overbid because we know how it goes now,
Yeah, absolutely.
And even to go off that tip too, like in regards to the staying power as a realtor who's very well versed and experienced like yourself, you come from a family who's well versed in the real estate space, your father being a developer, you being in the market for a
Yes.
while and seeing not only the hot market where a bunch of people just flooded into the market getting their license because anyone and their mother could have sold a home then given how hot it was,
Anyone.
right? Yeah, but now, when it's not that easy and you really got to get strategic and build out a solid game plan and take your time and go shopping and deal with the clients and them not being as confident as they were back then,
Yeah.
how many realtors are now falling off, but the strong will survive. Here you are in the downturn, not too much action in the market overall, but you're in here in Toronto building new relationships, building new bridges. So even though you're not transacting, you're still improving on your ecosystem so that when the market does pick up, you're just that much more solid, right?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
feel like that's really the right thing to do. And that's for every industry. Like during periods of slowdown, that's when you have to, get back to your business, get more knowledge, get more skills, get more expertise, know who you're dealing with, know your clients, know what are their needs, really focus, take your time. Like when things are slowing down, that's when, you have to refocus and really readjust yourself to the market and, everything else that comes with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a funny story, your funniest story in real estate.
Okay, the funny one is that one day I had a
Okay.
listing presentation and I show up to the guy's door. The guy was in boxers. The guy was in boxers. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, take your time. Like you can just go and like just go get your clothes on. Like I'll
Yeah.
wait outside, Like the guy opens the door like that,
Well, maybe it was intentional.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Being a woman in real estate,
Yeah.
like, okay, so my best friends and like some of my family members, like they have my location.
Yeah. Okay.
And like, it's true. Like as a woman, like you're getting into these people's home. Like sometimes the man is alone. You're visiting the home. You're going in the basement. Like every time I'm going in a basement, I'm like after you. Like I don't even go first,
Yeah.
But that's a funny story. But at the same time, it's a scary story because you never know what to expect, and you don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, 100%. So was he like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, no. He's like, no, just come in. I'm like, I'll wait outside. And like,
French
I don't feel comfortable. And it's
So
like,
it was intentional.
yeah, I'm like texting my girlfriend. I'm like,
Right.
guess what happened? Like this guy opens the door like that. I'm like, I'm charging 7% commission right away. You know?
On. Yeah.
Like right on. Like
Good for business if everyone answers the door with their boxers.
no, but in
Jack
this
it up 4.5
circumstance-
points. Yeah.
Stop it. But in these circumstances, like, look, I'll come in when you're all comfortable and like, you know, ready to have me over, you know?
Yeah. So standard commission, if you're on the one end, 2.5%, right? Average
Yeah.
home price, $500,000. You jacked it up 4.5% for it to get to 4.5% on $500,000. Cost him an extra $22,500.
You know
Just for opening the door with his boxers. 22.5.
And you know what? The funny story.
No more overhead on that though. There's just
And that house, I got it at 6%. And he said, "Is it negotiable?" I said, "This is not negotiable."
because of the way you answered the door.
Not even. I'm like, "This is not negotiable." I'm like, "It's 6%. It's right there. I already signed. Now you sign."
Good for you.
You know?
Right on. Yeah.
Not
yeah.
negotiable.
Absolutely.
And with the commission, she bought him a pair of pants.
Yeah, it's like, come on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like here, I know it's like 5%, right? For the
Yeah,
homes.
five's like the average. 2.5 on each side.
2.5, 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
That's good. That's
Especially with
good.
prices at we're at 1.9, $2 million. It was
Yeah.
really good.
But now, if you want to be smart as a realtor, you're going to give the other side 3%, the one who's bringing you the buyer. Because now we need more buyers, Now it's not hard to get homes for sale because literally you have these sellers calling you and it's like, please put my home for sale. It's like,
Yeah.
sure, I will.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard shift from like a strong seller's market to a buyer's market now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So interesting to see the way the teeter-totter
Yeah.
just aggressively turned like that.
Yeah, there's no balanced
Literally,
market
if
at
you
all.
had the listing 7-8 months ago, you were like
were king.
chest out, like what's up?
600
Now it's
over
like, I got the
asking.
buyer.
Yes. Now it's like if you have the buyer, you're the one a little bit more in power. And before, it used to be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like you had to be like buddies with the listing agent. Like I was their best friend. Like bringing them coffee. What do you take in your coffee? Like everything. Like,
Very
I had-
nice.
yeah.
You're
Now-
schmoozing.
Yeah.
You're schmoozing.
Strategic.
Strategic schmoozing. Like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we went from, we saw some that 35 offers, 600 over asking. Now it's like maybe an offer to 200K under asking.
Yeah.
So like Nick said, it's just crazy how just one or the other. It wasn't. I think we had balanced market for 2 days.
But now I think you guys are balanced a little bit
Yeah.
more than us in Montreal. Us is really shifting into a buyer's market, and you guys are still in a balanced market right now.
I think we're going to see a shift those into the buyers, especially with, the latest rate hike. A
Yeah.
lot of people, that like in 2019 and before, it was always 20% of Canadians had a variable mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since 2019, 50% of Canadians have a variable mortgage. So that's really affecting a lot of people because
I know.
they're looking at it like, oh, it's a great discount, 1.2%. And now you're at, 5.7, 5.8, hitting trigger rates.
I know. I totally regret taking variable rate. And like, it's funny because I was asking all my mortgage broker friends, should I take variable or fix? And they're like, no, take variable. Historically, variable is always the best. But now we're really feeling like,
Yeah,
okay,
no
like
history this
I
way.
should have taken like the fix. Now people
Right.
are like, wow. But what do you think is going to happen like with all these rates and all of that, like being in the mortgage industry?
Yeah.
Like, what do you tell your client when they ask you? It depends on situations.
Exactly.
or-
It depends on situations. I always like to position both sides of it. And then I always give a personal stance as in like, this is what I'm doing with any mortgages that we're holding or I'm holding. And like right now, the way I'm looking is I still think variable, don't kill me anybody watching this, but I think variable still is the better option in the sense that I think we're at the peak right now for fixed rates. Mm-hmm. And we've already seen, again, it depends when this comes up, but we've already seen fixed rates pull back. So it's like, why get into that high fixed rate? Because you could go, once you're fixed, you can't go back. You're going to have to break the mortgage.
Yeah.
Whereas the variable, to go to the point about the historical, it is very true. Historically, you always win with variable. Right now, it's been a weird time because it's shot up so much, 7 times in a year. But I would still take variable in the sense that we're already seeing fixed rates pulling back. So even
Yeah.
though the variable may climb, hopefully it stabilizes now. I think, looking like a year from now, maybe look at locking in that fixed rate. Because it's not like we're coming right back down to 1.8.
That's what I wanna
I think
know.
we're going to be bottoming out,
Yes. Like, what's the smart thing?
3.75 to 4.25.
Yeah.
Like the 1.8, 1.6, that's gone for at least another 10 years.
So, like, what's the smart thing to do? Like, let's say
Smart
you're
thing is
buying a
now
home,
it's variable.
you're taking
Now
variable,
variable,
you're taking variable, and then what? You refinance at fixed?
No, not even
Like,
refinancing.
what's the
'Cause
right
when
move?
you're in variable, you could always switch to fixed. So it's always fixed of whatever's left of your term or longer. So I think the right move, like Nick's saying, is just keep it variable because you don't know where that market's going to be shifting. Ideally, once it goes up, something must come down.
Yeah.
We're looking at that variable is either going to stabilize or slowly digress. But what we're seeing right now is that fixed rates, which have nothing to do with the bank, not that they have nothing to do with the Bank of Canada rate, but they're not reflected off of it. They're reflected off the bond rates. The bond rates are already pulling back. So we're already seeing fixed rates pulling back by 20, 30 basis points.
So you think by end of Q3 of 2023, it's going to go a little bit more down?
Yeah, I think Q3, Q4, 2023, that's when you might revisit that conversation, call your broker, call us, and let's look, okay, here's what the fixed rates are. Does this make sense, or are you still comfortable with your variable mortgage?
Do you think it's going to go up again?
To be honest, for the variable, I have no idea.
We don't know anymore.
I had a strong feeling every time we always talked in the office. Here's our predictions, projections, all that. No clue.
If they do, I'm telling you, there's gonna be like people are gonna start protesting.
And that's why a lot of economists are saying that if it does take a little bit more of a hike, that's all all you're going to see is a little more, because 70% of the Canadian economy is made up of the housing market. So the last thing that they want to see is that go down, right? Because that's what's keeping us
They'll put you
so
past a recession
appealing
into
to
depression.
foreign investors and whatnot.
Of course.
To go to Mikey's point, I think variable all day, every day these days, especially, and just wait it out. But more importantly, do you know that Montreal Canadiens are the only hockey team that have more Stanley Cups than the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Really?
Yeah.
Us?
And me and Mikey are hockey guys, and we're not too happy about it.
Are you kidding?
So yeah,
Well, she really
Where's
shaded
the
us.
jerseys?
She didn't even know we played.
Give me a jersey, by the way.
Michael, can you please explain? He said
Where's
he
the
was
Maria
out
Ben
all
jersey?
I
morning.
can't believe you called
Said
me
he
out. I
was all
apologize.
morning
He's
trying
like,
to
I'm gonna get
jersey.
you one with Maria Ben in the back.
I'm gonna
Yes.
find one.
And
I'll
I'm
ship
gonna,
it to Montreal.
I'm gonna be wearing the Toronto one, and you're gonna be wearing the Montreal one. Where is the jersey?
Shots fired.
Please answer. Yeah.
Oh my god! But thank you so much, guys, for having me. And like, just don't forget the jersey before I leave.
No
I'm
problem.
leaving
No
tomorrow.
problem.
Yeah.
But it was so nice to meet you, and like I'm definitely coming back, sending all my clients to you guys. And if you have clients want to buy to Montreal, you know who to call.
Yeah, no, vice versa.
Absolutely.
We're very grateful that you came here and that you built us into your ecosystem, because the same way that you want to send your people here, we know that they're in good hands when we send them your way, because getting to learn more about you, you're an awesome rock star realtor that's
Thank you.
operating in the Montreal area. So hit her up, guys. Tell them what your handles are.
Thank you,
Your
guys.
information.
So my name is Maria Ben Realty on Instagram, and my phone number is 514-922-0700. Thank you, guys.
Direct.
Thanks again for tuning to this week's episode of What Would It Cost? We'll see you next week.